All right, folks. If you don't skip over these ads, which I hope you don't because they are being paid for by people who are part of the Unspoiled community, so they're more meaningful than some of the other ads that are automatically put onto my feed. These like reminders that the tax season for next year is coming up have been more and more insistent. But now, for reals, we're halfway through November. It's time. If you intend to face 2023 without panicking or late nights or just a general sense of anxiety hanging over your head, now is the time to go talk to Molly Morris. Please listen to me on this, guys. It's m3virtualaccounting.com. She will do a free consultation with you to find out what it is you need, whether she's a good fit for you, and she is flexible in the way that she charges based on what you're looking for and what you're doing. She is wonderful. So please, 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 if you have been sort of putting it off all year, but every time you hear me talk about it, you're like, oh yeah, I have to remember to do that. No, now you just have to do it. m3virtualaccounting.com.
This is an Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering Ted Lasso, Season 2, Episode 4, Carol of the Bells. In this episode, we take a step back from the plot to do Christmas with our friends. And this was very heartwarming, and I feel like going to be in the circulation for Christmas specials that I watch every year from now on. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
All right, we finally get to talk about the episode that I accidentally watched last week.
Yeah.
Oopsies.
Oopsie, indeed. I love that you mentioned adding this to the rotation because, you know, I don't have a lot of, like, Christmas traditions and things I have to watch, but this is absolutely going into my very small repertoire of Christmas shit. Yeah. I love this episode. I love it from start to finish. So good. It's so good. It makes me so happy when I watch it. Like, it's like a shot of what is it people say? Serotonin, I guess.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What the kids say.
Yep.
That's what it feels like when I watch it.
Yeah, we have some other Christmas specials that we watch, if not every year, frequently. And a couple of them are Community, because they have they have a bunch of holiday specials, Halloween ones and Christmas ones. And there's a couple of them, the Christmas ones, that are like kind of depressing in a way, actually. And they have an uplifting ending, but there's a period that you have to get through that I'm like, I don't even know if I want to watch this year because it's a little dark, actually. And this one just feels so light and happy throughout. Even there's problems that need solving, and even those are light in their way, you know? And just overall, the fact that they were clearly riffing on, oh my God.
Love Actually?
Thank you. Christ's sake.
A movie I've never actually watched from start to finish.
Have you not? Love Actually is one of those movies that I know is deeply problematic in so many ways, and I still just love that stupid movie. It is really real bad in some spots.
Is it?
I do not care. It is so fucking fun.
I know people love it. I think the only problematic thing I know about the movie, and I'm not going to know any of the actors because I know there's a million people in it.
Yeah.
But I forget who's coupled up with who. But there's a weird thing with maybe Emma Thompson's relationship in the movie.
That's a sad story. Yeah. That's not even problematic. They treat it as it should be treated.
Oh, okay.
It's just a sad story. There's one story, like one of the cringier ones is this young guy who's, he's British, but he goes to the US because he can't get a date in Britain, but he thinks that American women will love his cute English accent. And he comes to the US, and immediately meets these like incredibly hot supermodel types at a random bar who all invite him back to their place to spend the night. And like, it's very clear that they're setting up a giant orgy with all of them. And it's so dumb, but I don't care. It's just so funny. They're like, it's the kind of thing that so often that sort of storyline of like the guy who's trying to get these the hot women actually show up, but then it all falls apart. But no, he gets to just go home with them because Merry Christmas. And I was like, yes, thank you. So that's yeah, funny. There's
that's kind of funny.
There's a lot of stuff in it that I'm just like, oh boy, the end of this one where she has like the placards that she's holding up is a famous scene from it, and that is a storyline that I really hate, where he is like in love with the woman that his friend just married and goes to the door to tell her how much he loves her and will always love her, while his friend is just sitting inside like watching a football game.
Is that supposed to be very romantic?
Wife is at the door, I guess. And she like runs out and gives him a kiss before going back into her husband. And I was just like, this doesn't, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't like it though. And that's Rick from Walking Dead who plays that role.
Oh, that's right. He's in it too. Every fucking body is in that movie. And there's like 40 fucking famous people in that bitch.
Tons.
But Snape's in that too, right?
Yeah, he's Emma Thompson's husband. Real piece of work.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so yeah, we open first. We've got the credits that are claymation style that I wanted to mention. We have like a cold open before that, but I just want to talk about the credits off the top.
Okay.
I am a sucker for the claymation thing for Christmas. I know that it's kind of like a cliche, but it's cliche because it's like,
yeah,
you know,
that's what Christmas is for me. When
it's a shorthand. Like, we all know what it is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love the cold open with the Secret Santas. I loved it. Bumber, I don't know his name. It sounds like every time I hear his name, it sounds like they're saying Bumbleclot, but I know that's not what they're saying, but that's what I hear. Bummercatch. Okay.
This is Eric. Erica says, are you watching the Christmas short? I don't know what that, for a Ted Lasso Christmas short, or I don't know. Bumpercatch. Okay, so what were you saying about Bumpercatch?
He makes Colin a scarf, knits a scarf for him.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that.
it's just a cute little.
Me, man.
It's so cute. I love Isaac in his velvet or velour get up like Santa Claus. It's just everything about
Isaac on that chair in the center of the room, presiding overall as Santa Claus, is the best. And honestly, like, kind of an energy that I would not mind incorporating into a party in the future of some kind. Once my friends who like live around here, their children grow up enough that we can do a party again, something's gonna happen with this sort of energy. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he looks good as fuck sitting in that chair. And the way he calls Danny up. Danny, and then it's like Secret Santa, reveal yourself, and everybody is so into it, and it's really cute to find out that this is something that Ted has introduced to the club. This whole idea of Secret Santa, which had never occurred to me. I never really thought about it, but I guess that is a pretty American thing.
The whole idea of how Secret Santa works too. There are so many like different ways to do it that even if you do it, the person who comes in and is like, well, how about we do this? It might still be like completely fucking different than what you're used to, Right. I always like, there were some places where it was like Secret Santa, but you chose a name off a list. So you like could pick who you wanted.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked that, because then you just don't get a complete stranger that you have no idea what to do for. Did you see that thing today? There was a post going around. A woman got a name in her office, like Secret Santa. And somebody who she like told who she got went and told the woman. And the woman who she had gotten emails her a list of things that she would like.
No, I hadn't seen it.
Ends it with, and don't go buy me nothing from Bath and Body Works. And then it ended with just like Alyssa. And I was like, I can't help but feel like you should buy her a lot of Bath and Body Works.
She would get
and just
nothing.
be like, yeah, the post was like, she's going to get this crisp 20 and be thankful.
She's going to get an empty fucking card that says it's not from Bath and Body Works.
Right? Enjoy.
My mother-in-law's friends do that fucking white elephant is what she calls it. I think it has different names in different places, but it's like Secret Santa on steroids.
How does it work with your family? Like, what do they do?
I don't participate, but from the way she tells it, everybody comes to the party with like a gift, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're wrapped because everybody sees what it is. And then there's some sort of weird round robin thing where you get a gift and then you can steal another person's gift.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it just seems really complicated and also with a lot of drama because every Christmas, by the time I hear the story, they do their party a couple days before Christmas. I hear the story on Christmas when we're with them. And there's always drama involved. There's always some person who's really pissed that they didn't get, there's always one person who has a gift that they really wanted, and then it gets stolen at the last minute, and it's supposed to be like in good fun, right. But somebody's feelings always ends up getting hurt. And so some Christmases she'll be really excited because she'll be like, yeah, me and Dad, they do that weird thing too, where like you're so old that you like when she's talking to us about my father-in-law, she just says Dad. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, Dad got this great gift. And then at the last minute, Jerry stole it, that fucker. And you're just like, whoa, whoa.
That's pretty close to how it works with Owen's family. They are wrapped, though, and everybody pulls a number. And if you go first, you can either choose to keep your gift or trade it for somebody else's. But you're trading for something that may not be better because it's still wrapped and you don't know what you're trading for.
Okay.
And then if you pull first, because you wound up in a shit position where nothing else was unwrapped, at the very end of the game, you get to pick whatever out of the entire unwrapped batch. Oh. So it's sort of meant to be like fair in the end.
Oh, okay.
And it's really funny because Owen always like, he either tries to get something that's so incredibly themed that it's almost like, is anybody going to get this? A couple years ago, he was so proud of himself. He got a DVD copy of Frost Nixon, a DVD copy of Frosty the Snowman, and a gift card for a free Frosty at Wendy's, and made it into this like Frost gift bundle and had to like explain it because nobody was putting together what it was that he had done. And apparently there was like a hot pink furry steering wheel cover that made an appearance every year for like 4 years, and it was the shit gift that nobody wanted, and everybody when they would like be landed with it would be like and try and like trade it off or trick somebody. So that was pretty fun. But yeah, it's there's always like going to be a couple things that really suck and then a few things that are really good, that to the point where now half of the stuff people bring are like Starbucks gift cards. And it's sort of taken the fun out of it because it's just like a bunch of gift cards. And I'm like, look, I get that we're fighting over something very practical that we know we'll use. Right. But also like, come on, this is like less fun.
Yeah, if you're not going to do it, then why are we doing it? Mm-hmm. You know. Thank you, Asher, for acknowledging that I didn't interrupt that intro. I appreciate that. I work very hard on containing my enthusiasm until the intro is completed.
Yama says, that happened to me once at work. I got earrings at the end because I would actually wear them. Some people were so mad because one lady wanted to gift it to her niece. She hated me until
I left that job. See, these games are ruining relationships.
Go buy your niece some goddamn earrings then. That does not sound like an office problem. That sounds like you not being prepared for your shit, which is on you.
I mean, to be fair, that's also a very serious office problem, not being prepared for your shit. That's really on brand for the office.
A couple of years ago, there was a really beautiful, like, ceramic mug that I loved. And it was, of course, a Starbucks mug. Shut up. And I was so excited. I unwrapped it. I was like, I was looking for this. I was looking for that exact pattern, and they were sold out because it was really the prettiest one. And then it got stolen from me, and I was fucking mad. But I was trying to be cool because I was like, it wasn't yours to begin with. It's a game. Don't get attached. And then Owen's grandma stole it back at the end, and then she just gave it to me.
Oh,
and I was like,
happy ending.
Honestly, that was like a real. She took one for the team there. She didn't like wind up with her own gift. She just got something so that I would like it, and I was like, that touched me.
I love that.
So anyway, yeah, it's mostly booze.
It's almost all booze except for the one scarf. And Jamie does not have a gift because, as he put it, it was a secret Santa and he didn't want to ruin the surprise.
I swear to God, I love Rebecca's reaction of just, oh, Jamie, sip of tea. And I was like, yep.
Beard is just like, this guy. Mm-hmm. And then they have a bottle of hooch that's extra and they hook it up for him and throw some Christmas magic on it. And he fucking, God bless me, everyone. And Beard is just like, wow. We also get another little brief glimpse into the relationship. I don't even know what to call it, of Beard and Jane. This ongoing yet mostly off-screen relationship where they have they're going to celebrate a pagan Christmas, but they are not technically together right now. Mm-hmm. But they had already bought the ticket.
They're together right now. Shut up, you two. Get out of here. Look. I know I used to do this too, but it was a long time ago when I was like a child. If you are trying to act like you are not still with a person, that you are doing everything that you did as a couple with still, you're still a couple. I don't give a shit what you're trying to tell yourself or anybody else. You are lying. And just face it.
I subscribe to the Jerry Seinfeld rule of breaking ups. It's like tipping over a vending machine. You gotta rock it a couple times before it takes.
Fair.
So you never believe them when they first say they're breaking up. You gotta wait and see if that shit really sticks.
God. Yeah.
Nate gives Ted a picture of them with a beautiful inscription that is, again, all over Beard's face.
Written right over my head, face, and body. Yeah, this was like what I kept thinking about in this scene. And I know that this is like really not on topic, but I couldn't help but think about it because I saw recently an article about how they're coming out with a alcohol-free bar in Brooklyn. It's going to be all these cocktails made with non-alcoholic, like, spirits. They're still calling them that, but they're, and there were so many comments from people who were just like, well, that's a business that's going to fail. And I was like, do y'all not know anybody who doesn't drink? I bet you do. And they just don't say shit to you because you act like this about it. But the idea of like, what if you just don't drink and you're a part of this, like, this team? And it's all booze gifts, and somebody just gives you one. Like, it must be kind of alienating, I drink like a little. I drink. It's not a problem for me to have alcohol. Like, I don't go, oh, well, no, I can't. But I also get sick on it really quickly, so I don't really get drunk often because I can't. I just immediately throw up. So for me, booze has always just been kind of like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I enjoy that it's here, but I don't really care about it. But if you really can't, either because you have had problems with alcohol in the past, or you're on a medication and you can't drink with that, or various other reasons, there's religious reasons, there's like all kinds of reasons. I have just really started to notice after having more people in my life who don't drink how pervasive the culture is of drinking socially, and how if you don't partake in that, it's just like, well, fuck you then. Yeah.
Steve doesn't drink. The entire time that we've been together, I've seen him drink. I've seen him drunk, I think, twice in 25 years. He just was never a drinker.
Memorable moments.
Oh my God, he's so funny. He's so funny. But yeah, because of the Crohn's, well, I don't think he probably would have been a big drinker anyway, but I guess because of his Crohn's, as he hit the age where people start drinking as teenagers and that becomes part of your culture,
right?
He just could never drink anything. It can't, everything just kind of goes right through him. And so it's not part of his thing. And so when we go out, socially, like we'll go to a bar or something, and like he'll just like, I'll just have a Sprite, I'll just have a Coke, whatever. But it's a weird thing, because what also happens is people around him, myself included, are drinking and getting drunk or whatever, and he's sober the whole time. And that's not always a lot of fun, to be like the sober person around a bunch of assholes that are like drinking and whooping it up. You know what I mean? Like that's no good either.
Yep.
So yeah, he just generally just tries to just like avoid the whole scene if he can.
Yeah, it's just something that, for me, I took it for granted that it's part of the social scene, especially as a young person, because it's just, when you're younger, especially, the pressure on it is just so heavy. But as I've gotten older, I really step back from it and like look at it sometimes and think, my instinct is to like be like, oh, I should have a cocktail with such and such. And then I realize like, I don't even want one. I just feel like I should have one in this setting or with this, but anyway, it just was on my mind because like the fucking gifts are all booze. And I was just like, good God. Guys. And then later on, there's a moment where they're like, hey, Merry Christmas, let's get drunk.
Yeah, when they're at the house.
That is so not the vibe for my Christmases. Like, it's just...
Yeah. But also, like, we're looking at like a bunch of young men and ostensibly in great health. They're in their 20s. They are making killer money, So, I love this sort of, I love when Keeley is talking to them about Sexy Christmas.
Yes.
And they're all just like, they start making like the cartoon eye bulges and making the noises. God. And she's like, no, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be sophisticated. We're going to have swinging music and everything. And then she's like, and then it's going to be like that. Yeah. It's so good.
The outfit that she wears, like, Owen was like, oh, damn. But I thought it was kind of like silly looking. She looked like a lampshade to me. I was like, I guess it's supposed to be sort of 60s, like that really A-line shape,
Yeah. Like she was going all in with the theme of the evening. The music was playing, the way the house was decorated. I love too when they're talking about Sexy Christmas and Rebecca comes in and just from the vibe in the room, she's like, oh, y'all talk about Sexy Christmas. Because they have already had this conversation.
Yep.
Which I just love these little tidbits of like, oh yeah, Rebecca and Keeley, of course they already talked about Sexy Christmas. Rebecca already gave her tips and things she should look for and all that shit. She ran all this by her homegirl already.
I also really like that Keeley was able to have something so themed in her apartment, and it made me sort of wish that I always wish this, that every year I could just like wave a wand and have a different total style of decorations without having to buy everything over again. Because it would be fun to have like a Christmas at home that is themed like the place that we stay in Orlando. That we've stayed more than once now with the very 60s vibe.
I
it's
love,
like, its own specific look and feel. And I don't want it every year, but I really would like it like one year, a lot of investment.
I was going to say, like, you could just treat yourself. But then I started thinking about that. And I'm like, God damn.
Can't do it.
There's also a quick moment, too, when they ask Nate about Christmas. And he talks about his father and, like, having to buy a present. And Ted is just like, oh, is he one of those guys that, like, already has everything he wants? And he's like, no, he's fucking just terrible. He's terrible to shop for. And he hates everything.
He hates everything.
And he's just like, oh, another glimpse into the mind and life of Nate.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that too, because like people who are hard to shop for, there's often a sort of like crack that you can jam your chisel into and really open it up and be like, okay, I found it. This is the thing that I'm going to use to like motivate all of my shopping for you from now on. But
it can be really hard to find, and it can be tough to tell when you found it, even because sometimes the person you're buying for does not give a reaction that indicates that they're particularly happy. And it's like, if you eventually talk to their partner who says, oh, he uses that every day, then you find out, oh, so he did like it. He's never said a word to me about it, you know? But my dad, I finally cracked the code. He never had like a childhood. And I bought him a toy one year, a toy, like little speedboat that you put in like a pond or a pool. And the man lost his mind. I had given him so many gifts over the years, and it was always just like, oh, thank you. And then I got him this, and it was, oh, look at this. And you do, oh, hold, I'm going to take outside. Come with me. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. And after that, toys, only toys. And he was delighted. That was the thing to do. Aww. Literal for children toys. I'm not even talking about like Brookstone toys.
That's really cute.
But you know, it's,
there's none of that
something with some
anymore. People. Like Steve's family, I think I mentioned this before. They are, what's your wish list? Mm-hmm. What do you want for Christmas? Exactly. Where do I buy it? What size do I buy it in? What color do you want it in?
That's how Brendan's family was.
After 20 odd years of that, my ability to gift give has been really diminished. Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to buy for people anymore. And I really miss it. The first couple of years I was with Steven, I would just buy like presents for his parents the way I bought presents for anybody. And they were always like, you know, oh, that's really nice, you know, when we were first dating. And then afterwards, I found out they're very specific. Like, my mom will give you a list of things that she wants for Christmas. Mm-hmm. She wants these type of bath towels for the upstairs bathroom in this color, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So,
and I get the appeal of both. Like, I have a wish list that I do because sometimes it's just like there's stuff that I would really like that's been on my mind forever, and I can never really justify spending the money on this particular thing. So, you know, but then there are times where it's just you did something sort of unexpected, but still in my wheelhouse. Like this year, all of my presents for my birthday from Owen and from Cam were from Williams-Sonoma. And that's all I had. I don't even have to get into detail about what any of them were, but you know, they were all my entire jam because they were from Williams-Sonoma. And it was nothing that I had like specifically said I wanted, except for one bowl, which it wasn't even the one I wanted, which was from TJ Maxx. He just went and found something that looked very similar and paid a lot more money for it because the other one had sold out. But it just, you know, I can go either way. I enjoy a good surprise, but I also understand wanting something specific and just being like, look, we all have limited resources we're working with here. Let's fucking make this count. That's their thing.
That's their philosophy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Rebecca comes in and tells everybody that she has a dinner party for Christmas with Sir Elton John.
Indeed.
And they're just going to sing around the piano. There might be a puppet show with Daniel Craig and Rachel Weisz. And, you know, it's just all very chill and sophisticated. And the entire room was just like, God damn!
Yeah, this is another, I think, reference to the Love Actually, because there's a Elton John Christmas party.
Oh, is that true? Okay, I didn't know that.
It's not like we don't see it, but it's mentioned.
Referenced. That's really funny. That's good. That's really good.
And also, I wanted to just highlight something that it got my attention both times because I watched this twice. When Higgins is talking about how they like invite people who don't have family nearby to come, he says like we usually get around
one or two.
And when he says two, he says it in such a way that it felt like he had been about to say something else and realized that he shouldn't say it. And I don't like, and then when the camera immediately cuts to Rebecca, who has a sort of surprised look on her face, which I felt like there was a moment there that I didn't really get. Like, I couldn't tell if her surprise was, oh, I didn't know you did that. Or if it was only two. I thought you got way more than that. Or, wow, two people? I didn't expect anybody to come. I couldn't tell what her reaction was there. But initially, I thought what it was him saying we usually get about 10, and that he cut himself off and said 2 because he suddenly realized maybe saying that I have this giant party without Rebecca isn't cool, and that she just sensed he was lying. There was like a whole thing there that apparently was nothing. But if you watch that scene, I think you'll see what I mean. That
I'm looking at it now. She kind of cocks her head a little bit, but I'm not really sure what like when I first watched it, the very, very first time, I thought that the way he delivers that line is kind of like he realizes as he's speaking that only 1 or 2 people is probably not great. like doesn't sound, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But Rebecca definitely has a pointed reaction, but I'm not really sure what we're supposed to make of that.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be odd for me for Rebecca to be unaware that this was happening, because it seems like it wouldn't be the sort of thing that he would have thought to invite her to.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had thought, was just like, well, why would she even want to be there?
Especially, considering that she would have been married to Rupert all of this time, and they would probably be at Elton John's or someone else even more fabulous, for Christmas, or, somewhere traveling extravagant or whatever. So yeah. But yeah, I kind of took it as just him just sort of being like, we host people, and then they're like, oh, how many? And it's like, well, really, nobody come.
Yeah. Well, he gets his money's worth this year.
Yeah, I the thing that I really appreciate, the couple of things this episode does for me personally, and I don't know if it was intended or if it was just really serendipity for me personally, as someone, again, does not really get into a lot of like overly Christmas stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This episode managed to use, I like 3 or 4 Christmas songs, and this episode used the ones I actually like.
Okay, nice.
My like Carol of the Bells is my favorite Christmas
best
song.
Christmas. Oh, the best. Yeah.
They used Christmas in Hollis.
Mm-hmm.
And Wham's This Christmas.
I hate that song.
I know everybody hates it, but I don't know what to tell y'all.
Mm-hmm.
And then the song that Rebecca sings at the end.
Right.
And I'm just like, oh, for a Christmas episode, it didn't jam down my throat all the fucking songs I hate to hear every Christmas.
That's fair.
And I also like that the episode danced around some real, like they even joke about it, like some real darkness,
Mm-hmm.
And then the episode is like, we could have done that, but you know what? We're not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
We're just not going to.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate that too.
Yeah, same, because it was really, as he lampshades it by saying it could have gone dark, and I was like, indeed, it could have. So, all right, let's jump to Keely and the sexy Christmas that gets crashed by Phoebe, whose mother is, what happened? She gets called to the hospital?
Yeah, yeah.
So I did appreciate that Keely is in like lingerie in this transparent dress, but she doesn't immediately go, oh my God, and like cover up because the little girl's at the door.
Yeah,
and I was like, thank you, because honestly, it's a, it's like she's wearing a bikini. It does not matter. It's fine.
Exactly.
And Phoebe has gotten a Secret Santa gift at school of toothbrush and toothpaste and mouthwash. Yeah. Because she has rancid breath.
This whole fucking thing. I'm sorry. My TV is behind us, so I just got to the credits and I just got distracted because they really are so cute.
The
claymation credits, yeah, it's really, really cute.
The only one that I felt like everybody looked exactly like themselves except for Keely. She looked a little off, and I was just like, "Wait, who is?" Oh, that's Keely, I guess, because by process of elimination,
right? Like, who else could it be?
Yeah.
But I also love that Keely has the Fragile lamp from A Christmas Story.
Yes. They have her whole like setting up, and she has that. She's got this chocolate fountain that she's literally laughing at like a dog.
She's taking the olives and plucking out the pimento because
clitoris.
We all know how she feels about those. And they show up. Phoebe is in a state. I love too the delayed reaction of Roy seeing her, because he comes in and he's got all these bags, and Phoebe like rushes in and she's distraught, and Roy is trying to catch Keely up to what's going on about mom being at the hospital and da-da-da-da-da. And then finally he settles and he looks at her and he's just like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
And I want a man, my husband, you know, preferably, but at this point, anyone who's willing to just look at me like that. And just
it's
be
been
like,
a minute.
Holy
It's been a
fuck.
minute, and I will freely admit it has been a minute since I put the slightest bit of effort into anything like that. So that's partially on me. But I do not think I would elicit that kind of response anymore. Maybe I'm wrong.
I swear to God, I have it so bad for Roy Kent. I really do. And I have it pretty bad for Brett Goldstein, too. Like, either one of them could get it.
Which is Brett Goldstein?
That's just the actor's name.
Oh,
So for the character,
gotcha.
I have it bad for Roy Kent, but also the man who plays him could also get it.
Gotcha.
It's bad, y'all. It's real bad. I just think he's so fucking dead sexy. I cannot stand it. It just, but anyway. All right, so
Phoebe got this mean gift.
Bernard, he is ready to fuck Bernard up.
The whole energy of him saying, what did he say? Before he knows anything. This is what I'm after. I want a man who is just prepared, no questions asked.
On sight. On sight. Yep. That's the energy we are all looking for. He doesn't need a whole fucking backstory. He doesn't need any of that shit. I just need to know what his name is and where can I fucking find him.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And Keely, bless her heart, thinks that the way to ensure Phoebe feels better is to just reassure her she doesn't have bad breath. So she's like, go ahead and do a little bit breath for me. And Phoebe breathes out, and Keely literally gags in a way that feels like she is trying very hard not to throw up. Like a real gag reflex is activated.
It felt so real. And, you know, you can do that to yourself sometimes. Like, if you, like, fake gag, next thing you know, you're gagging for real. Yep. It feels like it kind of got away from her a little bit, but it's good for the take. And then Roy's reaction, that sort of stone face with his one eye.
It's like his eyes are watering in slow motion, like an anime kind of thing. So good. Just he's trying so hard, and then just, I think you're dying.
He's so mad at Keely too because of her reaction. Mm-hmm. He gets so protective of Phoebe. He's like, you're gonna make her feel worse. You know, what are you doing? It can't be that bad. And then it is. Bad.
I felt so much for Phoebe because I have struggled with bad breath a lot. And I found out, like, finally, like 6 years ago or 7 years ago, that it's tonsil stones because I never had my tonsils removed. And depending on how your tonsils are formed, there are pockets that, like, catch debris and basically rot. So you can brush your teeth as much as you want and you can try gargling, but the way that your muscles work is they cut off access to your tonsils when you try and gargle. So often that kind of thing won't hit that area at all. So, like, when I was a teen, my dad would be just like, your breath is terrible. Go brush your teeth. And I'd be like, I just did. And I didn't know what to do. And there was a Doctor Who episode I recorded with Jamie. We had first started wearing masks for COVID, and I had, I don't remember why I didn't notice it earlier, but I was like walking through one of those sort of atriums to get out of a building.
Sorry.
Is that just somebody leaning on a horn as they drive by? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
People, I heard last night the longest horn I have ever heard in my entire life. One car beeped at another car, and in response, the car that got beeped at laid, I counted it. They laid in there, I counted to 75. I kept thinking the horn was going to like, just, you know how sometimes a horn would just like it'll run out. That shit was on 100 for a count to 75. And I didn't start counting the minute it started. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I started counting after being like, this shit is really going on for a long time. It was the most passive aggressive horn honk I have ever. I heard that shit a mile up the road. They were
that is just not helpful or productive in any way.
I was lying in my bed like, they cannot be serious. I was like, well, maybe it got stuck because maybe it was like the car was old, or maybe like he hit the
or they got in an accident and it's just their face jammed against the fucking like steering wheel.
Listen, I honestly thought for a second, like, oh shit, maybe he got hit. Like maybe there's, but no, it was just somebody being hyper petty.
Christ. Well, anyway, I was exiting Sam's Club and I was walking through the atrium and I was suddenly like, oh my God. Oh, it smells like baby shit in here. What is this?
Oh no.
And I realized as I left,
it
was my own breath inside my mask.
Jesus Christ.
Yup. Not great. Not my favorite. Not my favorite moment. Not my favorite struggle to have, because bad breath is a real turnoff. It is a bad one. So, I just really felt for her here, because it is something that is so hard to tell if it's a problem unless somebody says something to you.
Yeah.
And if it's bad enough for them to say something, it's been bad for a while. Yeah. And just there's been a number of people who have not said anything.
All the hand tests and everything that people do,
they don't really work.
They don't really work.
Yeah.
But Roy has a plan, and I love a man with a plan. They're going to go to his posh neighborhood and just knock on fucking doors on Christmas Day until they happen upon a dentist, which... Okay.
I suppose
that is one way to handle it. I mean, your mother works at a hospital. You could have just swung by there for a prescription, but it's fine.
I mean, they need a prescription in order to get it. They have to know what the problem is.
Again, the mom is a whole ass doctor that works at a hospital.
Right, true. But yeah, it's like the kind of thing where I'm like, I appreciate, because again, another reference to them going door to door in Love Actually. That's a whole thing as well.
Oh,
this
is it?
Another bit. I appreciate the plan and his just like, oh, we are going to do something about this immediately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But mostly I was just like, it's fucking Christmas, man. Let people have a day off and figure it out tomorrow. What are you doing? Like, this lady, for some reason, luckily for them, appears to have nothing else going on. Well, there's nobody else. Like,
she's got a whole house sitting at dinner. It's like 12,
that's right.
Like 12
they come
people
in later
at the dinner table.
Right.
But the thing is, this is a very famous person. Mm-hmm. You know, we have to always keep in mind that Roy Kent is like not just one of these guys on the team. He's an established, well-received, well-regarded, low-key sort of a superstar. You know what I mean? So yeah, he can go knock on doors on Christmas and people will be like, oh my God, yeah, come in. How can I help you? You know what I mean?
I look, as somebody who does not like to impose on anyone, even those being paid to serve, asking for somebody's time on their like big holiday, I could never. I'm just saying.
So we cut to Sam, who arrives at the Higgins home. The Higgins family. The Higginses.
They give like Weasley, and I like it.
You know what? A little bit. Yeah.
Weasley's like with means.
Like a big family and like a house that's not quite big enough to accommodate all of them, but it's very, very cozy and feels like safe and warm and filled with love. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a good call. I think you're right about that. It does have Weasley energy. And
there was a moment where they're giving their son his gift, and it's very clearly a surfboard. And I'm watching this with Owen, and I said, "Huh, wonder what that is." And he didn't get that I was joking, and was like, "It's a fucking surfboard. What are you?" And he turns and looks at me as I'm like, with my little face, and he just got so annoyed with me.
Did he really?
Oh, fine. Like, I think it was more like annoyance that he fell for it
Right.
It turned into annoyance at me, which I can respect.
It always ends up that way. But yeah, it's a very cute family, and they're having like their Christmas, and and then Sam shows up, and he's like, I think Higgins and his wife are like, we have like 2 hours or whatever.
We have an hour.
Yeah. And then like right as she says it, the fucking doorbell rings. I love to, like, again, now you're talking about Love Actually, but all the carol of the bells, and then there's just all this like doorbell ringing cut throughout the episode. It's very cute. So the bell rings, and it's Sam, and Sam is always adorable.
Yes.
He's early. He's sorry he's early, but he's in the neighborhood, and he's really, really gotta pee. Yep. And then they make him wait like another 5 minutes of chit chat.
I was just like, guys, send me to the bathroom the second he gets it. What are you doing? Even though, like, initially I was like, you showing up an hour early, man. This is something that I can't forgive. I have had friends who used to turn up really early for stuff, and I would be like in the shower and hear the doorbell. It was so rude to me, But because he had to pee, I was like, I suppose.
Yeah. And at least, like, he's early for dinner, but the family has been up and prepared and dressed for Christmas. So he got, like, a little lucky there. But
yeah. And he has brought jollof rice, and it's normally made with goat. And, like, he says, but I made it with chicken. And Higgins says, oh, thank God. And I will never cease to be amazed at the fact that, like, British people have such spectacular Jamaican, just Caribbean in general, and Indian food at their disposal, and how little some people take advantage of that. I just can't understand. Like, goat, for everybody listening, is delicious.
It really is.
Goat slaps.
It really does.
And if a guy was telling me he made jollof rice and goat and he made it with chicken instead, I would be really bummed. I would be very disappointed that I was not getting the goat.
Why would you do that? I love Higgins is like, what does Christmas make you think of or something? And he's just like colonialism.
Yep. And he's like, oh, right.
The way that Higgins says it, and then it cuts to like the boys on the sofa, and he looks at his kids like, yeah, are you paying attention?
So, all right, I guess let's talk about like everything per location. So, we basically like wrapped on what happens with Phoebe and Roy and Keeley. Like, they eventually find a dentist.
Yeah, they go through several houses. They have one really cute house with the little boy that overhears Roy trying to comfort Phoebe and be like, this isn't embarrassing, we're just trying to get help, and shares a little, had too much ice cream when I don't do well with dairy, and I pooped on the bus. Keeley with the fucking, go ahead and
finish your story.
It was 3 weeks ago. And then they cut to the little boy who, you think that he's just gone back in the house and shut the door because his part is over, but it turns out he's standing there and he's listening. And it leads to a very, very, you pooped your pants.
Yeah, so I do too sometimes. Well, I think we should knock that off. If you can do it, I can do it.
It's very cute. But yeah, they go to a couple of the houses, no luck, and then they end up with the dentist. And Roy is like, well, we should just get rid of the cat for some reason. I don't know why.
The dentist says it first.
Right.
And I was like, what is with both of you? Oh my God.
We're trying to say adieu to Delphine.
Wait, what?
Phoebe's cat's name is Delphine.
Right.
And so then I'm assuming Delphine is like supposed to be like a Frenchified name or whatever.
Right.
So then the dentist is like, maybe it's time to say adieu to Delphine.
Oh, right. Yeah, I just couldn't believe that the dentist immediately presented with like, yeah, dump your pet. And that Roy, same thing.
You've only had her a month.
I just thank you, Keeley, for being like, no, we won't suggest that because your uncle isn't a fucking monster.
I also like too, there's like a little like throwaway line that the show just is like, Keeley's talking about the dentist, because she's smart and she knows what she's doing and science is real. Because you got to figure about when this aired, was like peak pandemic time.
Oh my God. So pitiful. So pitiful. Oh, and also this dude who keeps turning up is here wanting a selfie with Keely.
The Ussy guy. The Ussy kid.
Yeah.
He wants an Ussy with Keely. He's like,
she was a seminal figure in my teenage years.
Which is like the second time somebody has made a reference to Keely's like pictures being basically jerk off material, because Sassy's kind of said the same thing the first time she met Keely.
I like that I said salacious and you said jerk off material.
Well, we're very different people in some ways.
Right here, kids. So yeah, it turns out that she has like this antihistamine that she's been taking that dries her mouth out, and if you don't have saliva working, it will cause an overgrowth of certain kinds of bacteria. Yep. So there is a prescription for that.
Yep.
And they wind up, after getting the prescription filled for like several other £100, it looks like, we have this moment where Keely's like, see, Roy, we didn't even have to beat up a child. And he's like, actually,
I don't feel satisfied.
So he bribes the shop owner to reopen to get some like poster board and markers, and they make the signs that she brings over to Bernard's house. Is it Bernard? Benedict?
Yeah, it's Bernard, but they're saying like Bernard, which is weird, that the accent, I guess. Bernard. I don't like it. Don't think
so. Saint Bernard.
Yeah, no, doesn't work for me.
But yeah, it's basically just like, you hurt my feelings and do better.
Yeah.
Is the summary.
My breath situation is going to be handled in a couple of hours, 2 days maybe. But you are going to suck forever unless you do better. So you might want to work on that shit. Bernard.
And he apologizes and seems to really mean it. Like he seems properly ashamed of himself.
There's a fantastic moment where it's like, and if you don't do better, you're going to have to deal with him. And like it's Roy and he growls.
Yep.
And her pointing at Keely, and Keely's like, I am so sorry. I don't really want to be
I'm not doing anything.
She's still not on board.
If y'all have a Ring camera, I just wanted to establish I am not threatening a child right now.
I am not on board with this child bullying.
So let's then go back to the Higginses and wrap kind of what's going on there, which is an influx of like the entire rest of the team.
Yeah, pretty much everybody shows up. We don't see Jamie in this episode after the Secret Santa. We don't see I don't think Isaac makes it either.
Yeah, that's true. Isaac isn't there.
But
he's too busy with his double left-handed mom.
Yeah, we know so you figure like some of the guys on the team probably do have family, that they can go to. But it's a good chunk of the team. And they all show up at different times. Richard has come with this beautiful woman.
I love this so much.
And at one point, Sam is like, why did you bring a date? And he's just like,
Santa baby.
He's just like, the French believe, having a beautiful woman around is only like, just makes everything better. And that is true. And she just exists throughout the episode, not really interacting with anybody except for a little bit at the table at the very, very end. But mostly she's just chilling, being stunning. And there's this running gag with one of Higgins' kids who's just staring at her like, you cannot believe this creature, this goddess is in his house right now. He's like
when the camera pulls back and shows him staring at her as she like licks something off the end of a cinnamon stick.
She's got like a little, just, she's dipping it in like her chocolate or her cocoa or whatever's happening. And he is just looking
at her. The camera pulls back and Owen just starts laughing and goes, oh my God. Because, and it was like with the voice of, oh, I recognize that moment. I remember the first time I was like near a woman acting away and being like, why do I feel like this? What is happening to me?
Yeah. That kid is waking up to all kinds of new feelings for the first time. And then there's a great little bit where they're playing like with Nerf guns, and Zero and Danny are having like this fucking My God,
what
so,
the hell
so
was that?
Just people being outside, being loud. Having this like, if we don't make it out of here, tell my family I love them, and it's like, no, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna survive, and marry a beautiful wife, and then I'll marry her beautiful twin sister.
And I really enjoy that throughout all of this, the music is like a little action music. It's like a fun bit. It was good.
Everybody has brought food. Jan Moss brings fried chicken, and Higgins is like, "Oh, is that traditional?" And Jan Moss is just like,
"No."
And Higgins, okay then. Jan Moss continues to be a source of just delight for me.
Yeah, agreed.
It's such a fun little character. I don't know anything about the Dutch, but I love whatever it is they're telling me about them. I'm ready to accept it as gospel at this point. I don't know any better.
What I find kind of fun about his character, because like whenever you have an ensemble cast like this, and you need to have like certain people that fulfill a function comedically, and oftentimes a character like him who just seems to do things out of left field or say shit out of left field can be played as somebody who's just like maybe even a little threatening or loopy, like Creed in The Office after having referenced him on Halloween for you. And having it be somebody who it's like there's a language barrier, there's a cultural barrier, and also it seems like somebody who just genuinely doesn't care what people think in a way that's sort of unfamiliar to most of us. It's an interesting way to decide to do it. It's allows for a different type of joke a lot of the time than I'm used to. So it's fun.
I like to, one of the things I like about the Jan Moss character is that sometimes when you introduce a character like that, you'll use them as a surrogate to sort of say really mean shit, right? For the joke.
Right.
And his character really walks like that very fine line where it's just sort of, he's just different. But there's not really doesn't feel like there's much judgment behind it.
It's almost like if he ever says anything that feels mean, it really comes across as more, well, he genuinely doesn't seem to care what other people think. So he says things not expecting anyone to take it away because he doesn't take anything away. So he just doesn't really understand why that would happen.
Right. It's like when we first meet him, and I forget exactly what he fucking says.
But you played poorly.
But Sam is just like, no, everybody, it's okay. It's okay. He's just Dutch. Yep. But yeah, the whole thing at the Higgins family is beautiful. And then when you see their makeshift table.
Yeah. And they use the surfboard and the like
surfboard,
ironing board.
The ironing board. I think there's like a pool table happening at the end. And it's so over the top wholesome. I can't believe how well it works for me.
Yeah. Agreed.
I am always startled by how the show manages to be both. Like it really is wholesome and heartfelt and makes you just feel really good, but also never feels like cheap.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Or preachy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that little toast that Higgins gives, like, choked me right up. It really did. Like it shouldn't really have, but it did.
Yeah, there's something about acknowledging where everybody is from individually as well.
Right.
And him knowing that
right.
as well, like off the top of his head, apparently, that I was just like, that really is somebody who's like paying attention to people.
Exactly. Yeah. Like he would know, like as operations director or whatever, he would have access to this information, but to take it in and make sure that it sticks. Oh, I'm talking to this man and this is where he is from. Shows a level of, I don't know if care is the right word, but a level of respect, I think. And I had read ages ago, I don't know if it's true, but in one of the groups, they said that those were the real life hometowns of
That's
the
what
actors
Erica
that
is
are
saying right now in the chat. Those are the actual actors' hometowns.
All right. Yeah, cool. So that, it's just, again, a nice little shout out that the show does. And, just, yeah.
And there's as they pull the camera down the table and you see what they've used for tables, you just have everybody like cheersing and handing each other plates of food and pulling on Christmas crackers.
Is that what those are? That's such a cute thing. I don't know a lot about like British Christmas culture, but everybody is wearing like crowns. When Keely and Roy and Phoebe are out, they have like these sparkly they look like they would just be ribbons for presents, but they're wearing them. Like Roy has it on his lapel.
Oh, okay.
Phoebe has one in her hair. I think Keely has hers on her jacket too. So I don't really know much about the traditions, if that's like part of, like with the crowns.
Yeah, that one I don't know. The crowns I know is a thing.
Why crowns?
And those are often inside the like Christmas crackers. They'll be like folded up in there.
They have toys in those?
Yeah, they'll have they'll have like little like plastic soldiers or like a whistle or sometimes candies, things like that.
Fun.
Yeah.
And
I remember one year I said to Owen, like, we should get one of those, like, a Christmas cracker. And he said, that's no way to talk about stuff.
All right.
So now that's all I think. The original Christmas cracker.
You're not going to beat that. Everybody go home. You're not beating that.
Oh, God. Erica says they had intended to have some Hanukkah reference because Mo, Zorro's actor, is Jewish, but they dropped it.
Oh.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is. You don't see hardly any black Jews on television because people think that they don't exist.
And, like, I could also see just being like, oh, it's Christmas. We're going to just toss in, like, a Hanukkah reference, even though Hanukkah is not happening at, like, usually at the exact same time as Christmas might feel kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever, So, I don't know. It could go either way on that. But yeah, so it's just like, I really like the idea basically that the team hadn't been this unified. It was only a couple people who had nowhere else to go. Yep. And this year, everybody is just like, yeah, I want to be around my friends. These people are my friends. They
want to spend time together.
Yeah.
I love how genuinely surprised and pleased both Higgins and his wife are with how many people have decided to take them up on this offer. How like sincerely touched they are that these men wanted to spend this day with them and their family. Like it just really felt real. It hit in a real way. And the makeshift of the tables and it just all feels very much like what I remember Christmas being like, which is too many people and not enough space, trying to like throw it all together and fit everybody in, and it not mattering that we were eating our food off of a surfboard or a billiards table, because that wasn't the important part. I also love that they had all the guys show up with bits of their own family tradition. We didn't like get to dive into each one, but we got little like Danny shows up with a punch that's made, and Sam
with tequila in it already, and just like if you want to be extra, you can put extra tequila.
But like other guys came up with dishes, and I liked all that stuff too. And then there's this really spectacular little moment with Sam and the youngest of Higgins' kids talking about Santa Claus. And I have to say, that was a really impressive little thing that Sam spun. I don't know. I'm sure it's not the first time anybody's come up with that, but I think it's the first time I've ever heard it put that way.
Yeah, it's a nice little theory.
Right? And I was like, you know what? If I were going to believe in Santa, that would be...
And that would do it. With his, like, missing front four fucking teeth. So he's just got the two teeth on. I cannot. That child is illegal. It is too adorable to look like that. It's God.
It's really well cast, because that's exactly the little face you think about for like Christmas morning joy and all that stuff, right? So we should talk about Ted and then segue into Rebecca, I guess.
Yeah. So there's a moment in the office at the beginning of the episode where they ask Ted what he's doing, and he says something about how he's going to be FaceTiming his son all day, and Rebecca gives him a kind of look that I couldn't interpret. And later you find out it's her remembering her first Christmas after the divorce and how hard it was. And there's almost a sense of her kind of thinking maybe it's not going to go the way Ted expects it to go. Like,
Right.
she's anticipating it's not going to be as idyllic as he's picturing.
Yeah. It's definitely sort of, it felt like she's recognizing that he is not really prepared for the reality of what this first Christmas, not with your family, you know, and being divorced is really going to feel like. Like, he's like low-key in denial.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just watching, like, he doesn't know how it's going to hit.
Yeah.
That he's going to find out.
We go to Christmas morning, and he is on FaceTime with his son, who gives him this like mini dartboard.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, I don't know if that's the only thing Ted got, but it looks like the only gift he got. And I was like, somebody better have gotten this man more than a $7 like dollar store dartboard.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's the only present he unwraps that we see.
Devastating.
And I guess the bottle of whiskey, which he probably got at work, you know, those are the two presents.
And he has gotten his son a drone.
And makes a mistake and lets his kid open it first thing. And
yep.
I don't know what you were thinking.
Is gone.
Like the fucking wind.
And this one year, that this was like, we do the white elephant with Owen's family, but the adults often will get the little kids their own gifts. And Owen's grandparents got one of the boys a, like, kind of, calling it a drone, it makes it sound too like techie. It was a toy kind of drone, basically.
Okay.
And this kid goes outside with it and promptly lands it on somebody's roof and loses it within like 4 minutes of playing with it. And they tried so many things to try and get it down, and it was somebody else's house. Like, they couldn't, you know, but it wound up just being kind of like, well, I guess that's that. Sorry, kid. And I just, what I kept thinking with this scene is just like, look, I get that you're saying not in the house and bring it outside. Not necessarily better. Just keep an eye on it, because that shit, they don't know how to control these things, and they are not easy to sort of get out of weird jams if they wind up somewhere, you know.
They're really not. Well, a couple years ago, we had a family thing in Atlanta, and my brother, actually, my eldest brother, brought his drone with him, and had a camera on it so that it was going to take, like, he was going to fly it up. We were all in the backyard of the house. He was going to fly it up and then, like, take like an overhead shot of all of us as a family.
Uh-oh.
It didn't get stuck on a house or anything, but it was like fucking 45 minutes of him trying to figure out how to maneuver it and then get it turned. Like by the time it was all ready to go, half of us was like, fuck it, we're somewhere else now.
Right? Yeah. Like, there comes a point where it's like, man, practice this ahead of time.
But even though, my brother is, in his 60s at this point, he was like a little fucking kid. All he wanted to do was play with the fucking drone. He wasn't really even trying to take the picture low-key. Like, when I think about it, he was really just out there playing with this fucking drone.
This is what I'm saying, toys. Some people, that's what you got to do. Just give them something to fuck with all day.
But yeah, so Ted really thinks that he's going to spend Christmas morning hours on FaceTime with his family and sort of recreate Christmas morning how it had been, which was never going to be a thing. Mm-mm. Even if he hadn't got his kid.
Kids don't have that kind of attention span, man.
Yeah, then, and that was never an option, Ted. And deep down inside, you knew it, which is why Rebecca knew it immediately. But he wasn't quite ready to face it, and then it happens, and it's so abrupt. His kid is fucking gone.
Peels out.
Like little dust clouds, right?
Yeah.
And it's some awkwardness, not awkward, but like his wife ends up on camera. Mm-hmm. And this is the first
I was so sure that there was going to be some man that sidled into the room in the background or something. Ooh.
Oh, that would have been horrible for me.
I was just like, are we doing a thing? Because, Ted has slept with somebody, and we all agree it's fine. But it's a very different energy than somebody being there on Christmas with your child.
Exactly. Like, waking up Christmas morning with your old family.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
So I had a bit of a moment like, oh, are we? But no, it's just her being like, oh, now I have to manage this kid that you gave a fucking drone.
Yeah.
So yeah, he winds up hanging up the call with them, and we see him watching It's a Wonderful Life, and he's on the about to attempt suicide scene as he's drinking whiskey alone on Christmas in his apartment.
Yeah, it does not look great for our friend Ted here. And Rebecca shows up to save the day and to save Ted from himself.
She wrote "Hi, Ted" on the ground with those like tinsel garlands.
Yeah, it's
adorable.
Very cute. And she asked, hey, come take a ride with me. He doesn't know where they're going. He makes a joke about maybe they're going to Elton John's because he's got a Daffy Duck or Donald Duck costume.
What was he talking about?
I don't know, but it made me laugh because it's so ridiculous. But if there's like a deeper level joke there, I did not get it. If somebody in the chat gets it, feel free to share. But it turns out Rebecca is spending the day giving gifts out to less fortunate, lower income folks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has letters that kids wrote, and I don't know where she got them. Do you RoShawn?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I hear you. I'm sorry. I was just reading something.
I know you were,
but the notes, she says that it's something that her and Rupert used to do. It's a charity that they're involved in.
Okay, so like some charity gets the letters and hands them on to her.
Oh yeah, like Toys for Tots. It's like some sort of Toys for Tots situation.
Right. Erica is saying Ted and Rebecca's gift giving is based on a charity that Jason Sudeikis and Ashley Nicole Black, last episode's writer, were/are involved in, which is how they met. Okay. So yeah, she pulls him. She has him make sure that he like wears the Santa hat.
I think it's very cute. And then when she pops up, she's got her own little hat too, which I thought was a lovely surprise. One of my all-time favorite lines when they show up at that house and that little girl answers the door. That delivery is so fucking perfect. If I could make it like an outgoing message or something on my phone, if I believed in that sort of thing, I would absolutely do that. Mom. There's white people at the door and they're smiling.
As soon as I heard that line, I was like, I really wish I got to be there when RoShawn heard that line for the first time. That was the first thing I thought of, was just, you must have fallen out.
I absolutely lost myself the first time I saw that episode, and it still kills me every time. The delivery of that line is beyond perfection. I don't know who gave her the direction, but it says so much. It says, I've seen white people with the door before.
But she says there's two, in the sense of like, oh, we got two of them. Don't like that.
And they're smiling, which is a little different, and I'm really suspicious. And I just like this is all like familiar and yet also has never happened before. I don't like all of this is happening right. It's so perfect. And they're smiling.
Yikes. I don't blame you, kiddo.
It's so good. I just see, like, when she says that in my mind, I just picture like a never-ending list of white people that have knocked on her door before. Whether they are stern white people coming to like inspect the house for some reason, because it appears that they're like on some sort of like council estate, you know? And so maybe there's like home inspections involved, or there's
welfare checks,
solicitors, welfare checks, all of that, and it's just like, I can't trust white people at all. But these motherfuckers are smiling, and I feel like I trust that even less.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just so good. It's so good.
And Rebecca is like, oh, hey, so really, really sorry. We're late. We work for Santa. They were supposed to be here last night. Our bad. Deepest apologies. And hands over the entire sack of gifts, which I was not expecting. And that is wild.
Yeah.
I am desperate to know what was in that bag, like what she got. Because if you showed up at my house as a child with a bag that size and you just gave me the entire thing, I don't think any Christmas is living up to that for the rest of my life. I think that's a wrap.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah. But, I mean, for most of us, a big Christmas when you're a kid, once or twice if you're lucky, And then that shit's also a wrap. Because next thing you know, you're growing up and you're not getting Christmases like that anymore. Yeah. So
I still remember a Christmas that I was like, this is the first time I felt like this in so long, with Brendan's mom, who loved giving gifts. And she had told Brendan one time that she especially loved giving me gifts because I was so enthusiastic about stuff. And I meant it. You know, I love getting presents and I'm always so excited. Even if it's something that I put on my wish list and I know what it is, I don't care. I am thrilled. And she got us each a stocking the size of our bodies.
Oh,
and
fun.
Filled it to the top with wrapped gifts.
Oh, wow.
To the top. I am telling you guys, I have never gotten this many gifts at once, ever in my life, before or since. And it was like, you know, she individually wrapped pairs of socks. Like, it wasn't each thing was like so expensive.
Yeah, but
it was still just a delight to have a million presents to open.
Yeah,
you should have seen the piles of fucking paper that were hanging around after. And it was just like, I had no idea she was going to go that hard. That year, they really went for it. And I think it might be the first year that we had like left Connecticut. So she was really, and I remember we came into their house and they had this big tree in the corner because they had just moved into that house with the high ceilings, this massive tree. And the tree was like so far back behind where the tide of presents started that it was like 5 or 6 feet between the edge of the presents and the tree. And they were packed in and piled on top.
Damn.
I have never seen anything like it in my life.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And the shit that she got each, like,
was he the only kid?
Gaming consoles. No, he had a sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, gaming consoles. They got me like a KitchenAid. Yeah, like really some nice stuff. And just one of those that I was like, you know what? As an adult, knowing that this probably will never happen again, I am going to sink in and just really love this because it was just delightful. Trying to get everything into our car at the end of the day to go home. It was just like, okay, we're going to have to make a second trip later. So just hold on to this or ship it or something. But anyway, I really, this is just such a nice way to spend Christmas. And it really feels like kind of cliche to be like, you know, do something for other people, but it does make you feel great to do it, you know?
I love when she's talking to Ted, and she talks about how she spent her first Christmas after the divorce and how dark it was and how she just sat around alone, drinking, plotting. And he's just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
But, and the fact that she wanted to save him from that, you know, like, I'm not going to let him be alone in that. And this whole fabulous party that's like, she's been invited to, that's looming like just around the edges. She has made a decision that that's not really how she wants to spend her Christmas after all.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That she wants to be around, I guess, people that mean something to her and like bringing, I don't know, happiness to other people with the gifts, and then later on outside of Higgins' house, you know?
Yeah.
I also love too that they have a couple of different like sacks of presents, so we don't see every house they go to deliver the stuff, but we, you know, get the gist. But there's a bit when they first leave Ted's place and they run across the buskers. And they're singing, you know, Last Christmas, and Ted goes to throw some change in, and then she pulls out like a wad of cash. And he's just like, well, God damn.
She looks at her watch, starts counting it out, then kind of does a, what the fuck? And just sticks the whole wad in there.
The whole thing.
Like, that is the spirit. That's it right there.
And very funny John Holmes joke.
I didn't get that. What was that?
John Holmes was a porn star in the like early 80s, late 70s, who was famous for having a huge dick.
Okay.
And so basically Ted pulled up with his change, and then she pulled out the big dick with all the money that she dropped in.
I see. Okay, nice. That's fun.
So but then she what did he make a stop somewhere else?
I'm looking at it right now, and it's like because it jumps around between people so much, it's sort of hard to like follow it. I'm looking here. No, it looks like it goes straight to their house.
Oh, okay.
They like go and get the buskers, but that's like kind of it.
All right.
But yeah, so and she sings up a storm, and I liked her voice a lot better in this one because she sang the "Let It Go" with that sort of like Shakira, like, oh, you know that thing Shakira does in the back of her, like,
yes. I know the thing you're talking about.
And she was doing that kind of hard in that song, and I hate that sound. I just am not a fan. And she does not do that here. And I was like, okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. She sounded amazing.
Yeah.
She sounded really amazing with the other one as well in an objective way. I know she had a good voice, but it's just a style I personally detest.
Yeah.
And this one, I was like, now we're talking. This is like really some vocal control going up and down the scales like that, you know?
Just the whole like showing up outside the house, which is fun too, because we talked about it earlier, like not knowing exactly what the deal was with Higgins' family every Christmas and whether or not Rebecca had bothered to show up, you know, not knowing whether she had been invited or maybe she didn't get invited and they just never came, but deciding that she wants to come this year and be with them. I just, you know, again, all the warm feelings.
Yeah.
It's like the family that we all wish we had, you know, where all of these people are like just genuinely happy to be spending time with each other.
Yeah.
Like appreciative and grateful to be spending time with each other. And it's so rare that you see that anymore. Not just in real life, like on TV, but everywhere, you know?
It's like, I get really jealous of people in anywhere, fiction usually, that get to be in-person friends with people that they can like go and see.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's just like, I would love to invite you over for Christmas. And I just like, when are we ever going to be around each other for Christmas? Like maybe never, you know? And I did invite Cam over for Christmas this year though. So Cam is coming. So that's going to be fun.
Oh, they are? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
They're only going to be able to come like their plane is landing like on Christmas Eve and they leave the morning after Christmas Day. So they are going to be here for a tight time.
Oh,
but still, yeah.
I'm glad they could make the trip. That's really nice.
Yeah, me too.
Excuse me. Erica shared in the chat a link of the rehearsal for them performing that song. So I'll probably check that out when we're done.
And Erica is saying the best line in the episode, all I want to see those two do is fuck, regarding Daniel Craig. And who was the other one?
Rachel Weisz.
Right. Oh,
in the puppet show, which is still a really funny visual for me. And I just want to see, because we jumped around. But again, this episode wasn't plot heavy at all. It was just like watching the day. So, but there were so many fun little throwaway moments. I love when Richard shows up at the house at Higgins' house and he announces what he has, and he's got champagne and some of the fanciest stinky cheese. Yes. That really made me laugh.
He brings champagne, stinky cheese, and a beautiful woman. And I was
foie
like,
gras.
Oh,
or I'm saying it wrong, but that.
Well, you were pretty close, though. That was, yeah. And you know, like, so I'm just going to put it out there in the universe right now. I'm going to write a cookbook. I'm going to do it. I don't know when. I don't know anything, but I'm gonna. So I'm just going to say that. But I am covering for Spoil Me the Dandelion Dynasty series by Ken Liu, which I really recommend, especially if you are somebody who is into a lot of lore. That man goes hard, and it is great. But the last couple chapters that I have covered are a restaurant war, and the whole like setting of this fictional universe is very like Japanese inspired. It's like an Asian fictional country.
Okay.
So the food that they are making for this like contest between these two restaurants in this big competition, the descriptions of it, I'm just like simultaneously like, I want to eat it so bad. And then also, wait, what is that? I've never heard of that. What is that? And then me going and looking it up and being like, oh, that sounds so good. Oh my God, where can I find that? And then finding out it's in Dallas, some fucking where. And
wait, that's not that far from you though.
It's an hour and a half, and it's just like far enough that it would be a whole day to go down there kind of thing.
Okay.
But I just started to realize as I was talking about the chapters on the podcast, I literally started crying talking about food, you guys. Literally talking about a fictional cooking contest. I literally started crying. I just realized how important food is. It's just everything about it. Tells you so much about like what was important to somebody growing up, what was their household like, where is their family from, what were the traditions in their area, and based on what, from where their parents grew up and traveled from, did they immigrate, or is it like a specific thing to the neighborhood or the state that they grew up in, what kind of economic situation were they in, and so what were they able to afford, was it something really high end or not, or were they eating stuff that felt kind of low end because that was traditionally what their grandparents made who had no money, or and just like the ways in which food just dictates so much about our like experiences in the world and our memories, and it's so attached to events in our lives, and it's everybody has to eat. We all have to do it differently. The ways that we eat are varied and crazy wild. Some people can't even have fucking solid foods. It's going to be a whole other game. But everybody has to eat, and everything about how they do it is going to tell you a lot. And I just find it so fascinating and so like beautiful that
look at you go. You're getting so emotional.
I just think it's so like, it's so the idea that you can like have something that is specific to an area that other people, you're like somewhere else, and there's one person who's like, we make that too, and it's just a moment, you know.
Right. Well, the thing, it's about connection.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's I'm all crying, guys.
Yeah, it's about connecting to your past and to your contemporaries, to traditions you try to hold on to that sometimes you lose. And then if you're lucky, you might like find your way back to them. You know what I mean? Like, you guys know, I do not cook. I'm not like a foodie, you know, like Tasha. She's very knowledgeable. She's very talented and gifted. I don't have any of those things, but there are certain times when I will eat something or I'll smell something or I'll see someone who has something and it'll be something that I haven't experienced in years because the person who used to provide it is gone.
Yep.
Right. And I'll like happen upon it and be just like, oh my God, I haven't tasted this since my aunt died 20 years ago. Like, she was the person who made this and no one else made it. And now you're offering me some, and I didn't know it was ever going to be back in my life again.
Exactly.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I get it.
You walk into a house and somebody's making something and the smell hits you and it's like you got transported back 25 years in an instant. And then you're suddenly back in the present and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
What is this? Where do I know the smell from?
Yeah.
And the thing that I think is so like interesting, and this is also like a Dandelion Dynasty thing, that there's most of the series is about it starts off with like a dynasty that gets overthrown and then a invasion by like a colonizing force, and the ways that each side of this conflict are desperately holding on to their own traditions. And then there are people here and there who are trying to fuse the traditions because they're in a place where the ingredients they normally use are not available, and what they do and how they account for that, and the way it forms a whole different food culture. And that some people are very threatened by it in a way that feels irrational, but is like, you kind of get why they would feel this way. And one of the cultures does not do writing. They do spoken word stories, and they do like paintings with drums and putting like this colored powder on a skin that is stretched, and drums pound underneath it and vibrate the skin, and the powder goes, so it's like the music is captured in this like painting of powder. And somebody is talking to one of the people who doesn't do writing and is like, every time you tell this story, it's different. It's not going to be accurate every time unless you write it down. And the guy is like, yeah, what are you fucking talking about? The whole point is that it changes every time. The things you write down, now they're just dead. Now they're inert on paper and just like,
they don't live
there
anymore.
It is. Yeah. And he's like, what we do is we account for the audience. We account for where we are. We account for the energy of the day, what's happened recently. We adapt to the moment with every telling of the story. And then somebody applies that to food and it's just like, the recipe is different when I make it versus when my mother makes it, because we all have our different preferences. And so the food, despite being familiar, still evolves. And every generation is like, my grandmother used to make this, but it's not the way their grandmother used to make it. So it's still like very present somehow.
Cloak,
you know,
says right in the chat that at the same time we're talking about food being like, you know, a connection and tradition, food is also individualistic. And that's like what you're talking about too, because it allows people to add their own bits of their own story into the recipe, right? Like, it's, you know, it's like you're writing something that each person gets to add on to.
Exactly.
You know, if you could picture like a long novel that like never ended, you know, and every person gets to add their piece. Yeah.
Yeah. I just like, I love the idea of it just being this living thing that just continues to evolve. And just because it's not made the same way, there's an attachment to tradition for the sake of it that is kind of pointless.
Yeah.
You know, wanting it just the exact same way because it was always made this way is ignoring the human part of eating and what that means.
I am all for like recipes evolving, changing, growing. I feel like we should have a disclaimer that like this doesn't include when white people are like, we're going to reimagine this indigenous dish.
When we are going to like start messing with a culture by just doing some other shit, doesn't count. A culture like adapting itself to changes is one thing, but white people coming in and being like, we didn't have fermented bean curd for this, so we just used, and they fucking throw raisins in. I don't think so.
I just wanted to throw that disclaimer in there.
Yeah, no, I get that. And like, you know, of course it leads to things that everybody has very strong opinions on a lot of the time. So I will make declarations that like, no, this is how you make it and that's that. And I will say that with total dead seriousness and mean it. But I can also recognize asterisk. Okay, you make it a different way. It's fine. It's not fine.
It's not
but
fine.
It's fine.
But for the sake of my like not want to spend 20 years arguing with you, we're just going to say it's
exactly
fine. But I want you to know in your heart that it's not fine.
I want you to be aware I disapprove.
It's
Every
not
time
fine.
you make it, I want you to feel me looking at it going,
I'm saying it's fine, but know in your heart every time I'm like, that shit is not okay. But so this episode ends with them singing outside the house. Everybody's rocking. I remember like this time watching the episode, I think it's the very first time it occurred to me to be like, they just outside Higgins' neighborhood with an amp.
Right.
But then I realized that the whole neighborhood comes out anyway, so it's fine. It's fine.
There was definitely a moment for me of just being like, this is a residential area, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you have a permit for this? This area is not zoned for that kind of performance.
They just decided we're doing a block party and that's what we're doing. So that's fine. It doesn't seem like it's like too late because they were just eating dinner fairly recently. So
and the whole block did fill up really fast, and it wasn't just from the Higgins house. So Erica said in the chat, "We just ignore white people colonizing other people's cuisine."
As you should, as you should. There's a mystery series that is a like all around a Filipino restaurant. And the food that they make, I am utterly unfamiliar with. She's throwing out the names of these fruits and spices. And I'm like, oh, wow. I feel like I know a lot about food. And then I just get dropped into a culture and I'm like, I do not know about food. Wow. I really have a lot of like blind spots. But yeah, it's just, I love it. It's fascinating to me. Anyway, sorry, we just got right back on the part of the reason too that I realized how important food is to me. I'd been playing that game Wildflowers, and you can like have romantic relationships with people, and part of the way that you warm up to them is giving them gifts of food that you have made and finding out what their favorite foods are. And it takes some time to figure it out. So you'll like misstep and give them things they don't really like. And
that's devastating for you, isn't it?
I could not believe the reaction I was having. I was so pissed. And it's a fucking line from a computer. And I was heated.
What do you mean you don't like this? I don't know, however many minutes you spend making it.
I went and like guessed what their favorite food was and did my best and did a thing and just handed over to them with my humility. And they're like, yeah, this looks edible. I mean, just slap me to the floor if you're going to say that. It's edible. One guy says,
really funny.
He says, this isn't my favorite, but I can add it to the slop because he has pigs. And I was just like, there's no need for that.
Slop? Yep. I'd have uninstalled that game right then.
There are some people who are super polite no matter what. And you give them something and they just go, oh, this looks great. Even though it's not their favorite. They just react that way. Mm-hmm. And then there's guys like that who are super tactless and don't think about what they're saying. And just like, well, you know, I guess there's probably room in my fridge for this somewhere. One woman goes, oh, thanks.
That's it?
And that's it. And I was like, that's almost worse. Telling me you're just going to give it to your pigs. At least I'm like, well, it's doing something.
No, that's worse.
No, oh, thanks feels like she is tossing that straight in the trash when my back is turned. That felt like, okay. Thunk. Like, I just, So anyway, just really has influenced who I feel like dating in the game.
Has it really?
Really has. Like the reaction that rude people have, I'm like, oh, yeah, this isn't happening. You said, oh, thanks, with this long ellipses in the middle. It's not going to work between us, kiddo. Anyway. And then there's like this really kind of sweet but a little bit dumb surfer guy. And he always reacts with, what do you think? Because I surf, I'm always hungry. You're right. Thanks. And I'm like, see, that's all I ask for. Anyway, Jesus. Everybody go play Wildflowers. It's delightful.
I really wanted to play, y'all. I just didn't have any room on my janky ass old phone.
Download it on your Switch.
Yeah.
You got a whole ass Switch you don't use. A beautiful pink and yellow Switch.
I have to, yeah, I gotta update my card. I got a message that my card expired.
Boo.
Yeah, I gotta update my payment on that.
Anyway, we're in our last stretch here.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wanted to say that we had not yet covered?
I'm just glad that you. I wasn't sure how you were going to feel about this episode. I really wasn't.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was like I knew that it was a kind of one-off episode, you know, and I wasn't sure how you were going to feel about that. Having not that this episode, it wasn't that I didn't think you wouldn't enjoy the episode. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure if it being sort of a standalone was going to be annoying to you. Oh, hello there.
What just happened?
There's a cat climbing up the back of my chair.
Oh, okay. I was like on another page because I was pulling up patron names, so I just heard you suddenly go, hello there. I thought that you lost me or something.
Oh, no, just had a visitor. But yeah, I wasn't sure if you were going to be like kind of annoyed because you were like invested in the plot and it kind of like bounced you out and you. But I'm really really happy that you love this episode.
Yeah, well, I said last week that I was relieved to know already that we had this instead because I might have been like kind of like, come on, you know. I like to think I wouldn't because it's just so delightful, but whether something is delightful or not, if you are just desperate to know, it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes. But
and then also like it just like the fact that you went ahead and watched this a little earlier than you had planned. That could not have happened with a better episode. Like if you were going to like accidentally rewatch one, this was a perfect one to do it for.
Yeah, agreed.
So, and I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us.
And I'm sorry to have my Halloween decorations up in the background during a Christmas-themed episode, but you know what? It's kind of appropriate for the way our culture works lately. So
yeah, exactly. And I saw like you posted either yesterday or today, like you weren't quite over Halloween.
I'm not done with Halloween at all.
So I think we all can abide your decorations for a week or two more.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Bear with me on that.
Everyone for hanging out. Asher, again, I'm really sorry, hon.
Yeah. Asher suffered a loss. Everybody send Asher hugs.
Yeah, good thoughts and hugs. But I'm glad that you thought you wanted to hang out with us a little bit. I'm glad we could be here for that.
Yes. And everybody listening, if you want to hang out in the chat with us, become a $10 and up patron. I was going to say hi to new patrons, and there aren't any.
Well, y'all need to do something about that.
Yeah, y'all should become patrons. Patreon.com/unspoiled. We're doing these live. I'm doing the Sookies live with Miles. And then there's the postcards. And then if you do $20, there's the weekends twice a month with me and RoShawn, where we do Unsober. The last one we did was on Mischief Night. The one coming up is on Looney Tunes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Yeah, y'all are going to want to become patrons for that. You can join us in the Facebook group for patrons. Discord is open for everybody. Facebook is still for patrons.
And there's a lot of Discord channels that are only for patrons also. And just a mention here. I put this out on the Discord as well, but a lot of folks are only on Facebook, and I haven't mentioned it there, which I just realized now. But I know that a lot of folks like to participate in NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month, which falls in November, which is idiotic, frankly. November is the most busy time of year for a lot of people.
I don't know how the fuck November got so many things going on in November, but November's got a lot of shit. It's a lot of no somethings for November.
Yeah, I just look, know something makes sense. You're cutting back on your workload for November. Okay, fine. But NaNoWriMo is all about an intense focus and dedication to something that in the midst of we've got the just ending of Halloween. We're going to have Thanksgiving and Christmas shopping.
Goddamn elections.
All of that, elections. And a lot of people's birthdays fall around this time of year as well. So you've got a whole other thing happening. I just don't understand putting NaNoWriMo in November. It's idiotic. I just don't get it. So I have decided that I would like to do a unspoiled NaNoWriMo in January for New Year's resolution time. You decide, I'm going to do this thing, unspoiled community writing month called UncoWriMo.
January is a good time for that, though.
Yeah.
Instead of spending time writing about all your resolutions, just spend some time fucking writing. Doesn't matter what you're writing about.
Exactly.
How about that? Do that instead, y'all.
So because I have been talking about doing this little cozy mystery thing, and I really do want to do it, but it's just at this time of year, there's fucking no way I'm sitting down and starting something like that. And I was like, I bet a lot of people that this wouldn't work this time of year and would like to do it at another time. So I'm going to start a channel for UncoWriMo in
UncoWriMo.
It sounds like Uncle.
It sounds like one of my uncles that you don't see anymore. People just whatever happened to UncoWriMo?
What's up with UncoWriMo?
We don't talk about him no more.
He would go by UncoWriMo on Facebook too. He would type that shit in instead of his name.
Absolutely, 100%.
100%. But yeah, so if anybody is interested in participating in that, and it's a really nice way, on Discord, we can have the main channel for talking about writing in general, and then people can make separate threads for their own work or to talk about a specific thing like naming characters or whatever. You can just have sub-threads. And if you want to have a subthread for your own work and you can share a link to a document so people can go see it, or you can just share excerpts and people can read it right there.
Fun.
I think it'd be a nice way to organize it in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there in case anybody is interested. Join the Discord. Links are around. I'll try and share them again. Remind people that we're
I
there.
like the way your voice went down a little bit there.
I had a moment of like, the links are, and I fucking went in with full confidence that I was going to have an end to that sentence and realized I don't know where I have the links.
You were Higgins talking about the last couple of Christmases when teammates came.
All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much. We love you. And until next week, toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
No, my hands won't be tied down, and I will not lay them down, 'cause I can finally see the truth. So simple but so clear, accepting an ocean's depths were out of reach for me and you. If you're coming up for air, breathing in, you know I'll be there when you first begin. And when everybody's telling us we have no time, we'll prove them wrong.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.